Thanks, boss. The two henchmen rushed to her sides with vile smiles on their faces. Be patient, sweetie. We'll show you a damn good time later. Heh heh heh. The two of them got down to pinning Wei Jiejia, who was screaming and struggling, to the ground. Keep her there, instructed the fierce-faced man, grinning wickedly as he started taking off his trousers. When his pants were halfway down, he suddenly froze. Whirling around, he lifted his head up to look. A person wearing a black cloak had popped out in the alley. No one knew when he got there. Only his eyes were revealed through a mask. Who are you? Asked the fierce-faced man as he put his trousers back on. He then thundered in a low voice, I'm with the Dagger Gang. You better think twice about messing with us. Su Jingxing remained silent. Wei Jiejia, who was pinned to the ground, heard the commotion and looked over her shoulders with an effort. When she saw the cloaked Su Jingxing, she couldn't contain her joy. Struggling, she shouted, Kind sir. I thank you for saving my ass. The fierce-faced man stomped her viciously on the head, provoking a scream. Half of her face was pressed against the ground, and she dared not move again. Tap. Seeing this, Su Jingxing took a step forward. Back off, warned the fierce-faced man. You better back off before I F***CKUU. F** King Hell, get him. Seeing that Su Jingxing was unfazed, the fierce-faced man swung his hand down forcefully, signaling his henchmen to intercept Su Jingxing. The two of them roared a war cry and charged at Su Jingxing with daggers in hand. Go to hell. Thud. Thud. With two dull thuds, the two men who were rushing towards Su Jingxing were sent flying back before they could even touch him. They crashed to the ground, groaning in pain. Son of a B***TCH. The fierce-faced man was livid. Letting out a bellow, he produced two daggers and charged at Su Jingxing, leaving Wei Jiejia on the ground. He was much stronger than his henchman. Not only was he close to reaching the 8th grade, his dagger techniques were well cultivated. He let out a ferocious aura as he ran. Su Jingxing took him face on, tensing his body and adjusting his footwork. 1 step, 2, 3. In the blink of an eye, he had taken 5 steps. It was so fast that it exceeded the speed of the fierce-faced man. While he was taking the steps, he nimbly dodged the dagger and unleashed all of the power that had accumulated in his fist at the chest of the fierce-faced man who was about to reach him. Crack! Ouch! The sound of bones breaking resounded through the alley. The fierce-faced man spat out a mouthful of blood as his large body was propelled into the air. He flew over Wei Jiejia and a couple more meters before crashing into the ground. Trembling uncontrollably with blood flowing out from the corner of his lips, it was difficult for him to even let loose a scream. A yawning hole had opened up in his chest, exposing his entirely cracked bones and shattered inner organs. Blood was spurting and flowing out in gushes. One punch. He had 3,000 caddies of strength, and with the multiplier from 7 steps fist, he was able to exert 10,000 caddies of strength. A single punch had put the fierce-faced man at death's door. His two henchmen who were howling in pain earlier were stunned by what they saw. They stopped yelling and lay on the ground blankly, looking at Su Jingxing in fear. Wei Jiejia was equally shocked. Even Su Jingxing himself was shocked by the power of this punch. He had practiced the 7 steps fist for 10 years in the martial arts practice space, but since this was his first time in actual combat, he did not hold back and unleashed the maximum power of 10,000 caddies. This amount of power was enough to deal with a 7th grade martial artist. Still, he didn't expect the fierce-faced man to go down in just one punch. 7 steps fist. In the silence, Wei Jiejia snapped back to her senses and got up from the ground. She shifted her gaze to Su Jingxing and exclaimed in surprise, the move you just used was 7 steps fist. Are you a student of my Wei family's dojo? Su Jingxing remained silent. Retracting his fist, he turned around and left. "Wait," requested Wei Jiejia, catching up to him. Su Jingxing broke into a run. Saving a mistress in distress was one thing, but Su Jingxing wanted nothing to do with Wei family dojo. Ignoring Wei Jiejia, he sprinted away. Before long, Su Jingxing got rid of Wei Jiejia. After removing his cloak and mask, he hailed a taxi instead of taking the bus, and headed straight to the crematorium. Huff, huff, huff. After a long chase, Wei Jiejia stopped in her tracks, realizing that her target was nowhere in sight. She leaned against a street lamp and gasped for air. Who was that? Who could it have been? Not only was he able to use the 7 steps fist, he took 5 out of 7 steps. Just who was he? Is he one of Grandpa's disciples? A student from the dojo? Wei Jiejia let loose her imagination as she panted. Students were different from disciples. Students could learn a martial art by paying a school fee, and were free to leave any time they inclined to. Of course, such people were not allowed to learn advanced martial arts. Disciples were different, they were considered part of the lineage, giving them access to authentic secret manuals. A teacher for a day, a teacher for a lifetime. If the Wei family did not have any descendants, a disciple even held the power to carry on its legacy. When Grandpa Wei was still alive, he had taken in 2 disciples. One of them, after mastering the fist technique, left for the world outside. He hadn't returned in more than 10 years. The second was a vain man who enjoyed brawling. He was assaulted and beaten into a cripple after Grandpa Wei passed on. When Wei Jiejia's father was head of the dojo, he had also taken in a disciple. Wei Jiejia's eldest senior brother. Her eldest senior brother was very talented, and was already an 8th-grade martial artist at the young age of 20. However, when Wei Jiejia turned 10, he left for the outside world and never returned. If Uncle Master and eldest senior brother were still around, the Wei family dojo would be in safe hands even if Wei Zhongting died. But now, the dojo had been deserted by all its students, and a bunch of people coveted Wei family's business. These vile people, when eldest senior brother returns. But wait, he's already back. Recollecting how Su Jingxing had fatally wounded the fierce-faced man with a single punch, Wei Jiejia's eyes lit up. She made up her mind. Eldest senior brother is back. The 7 steps fist user was definitely eldest senior brother. At the time of the Wei family's dojo's crisis, eldest senior brother had returned to stand up for them. No, it was more than that. He was ready to become their supporting pillar. To be able to take 5 steps while executing the 7 steps fist, how could any ordinary person boast of such talent and perseverance? It had to be her eldest senior brother. With the crippled fierce-faced man as evidence, Wei Jiejia was certain she could convince others about her theory. Su Jingxing, who had returned to his dormitory, had no idea about his newly imposed identity as the Wei family dojo's eldest senior brother and future supporting pillar. With only 90,000 Great Yu dollars in hand, buying a house was out of the question, but it was more than enough for him to rent a place. He had no need for a villa, a small courtyard located in the Western District would suffice. To that end, after handing over his shift the following afternoon, he went to a real estate agency in the Western District to search for a suitable house. After getting the details from Su Jingxing, the agent brought him to view a few places in person. The small courtyards in the Western District were mostly owned by locals. It was spread across a large area, where the population was quite dense. Su Jingxing had specially requested for a corner area. After viewing 3 places, he finally found a suitable one. However, he grew a little hesitant when he learned the identity of the landlord. Wu Anxuan. The team leader of the security team of Forestry Town, the man who slaughtered the corpse puppet, turned out to be the landlord of this place. According to the agent's explanation, this small courtyard near the foot of the mountain was Wu Anxuan's parents' inheritance, as well as his former home. But after Wu Anxuan's parents passed away, it became vacant. The house had never been the same ever since he became its sole occupant. Plus, Wu Anshuan stayed in Forestry Town all year round and rarely returned to Qinghe City. Even during his trips back, he opted to stay in his house in the city, and hardly visited this small courtyard. Not wanting to let the space go to waste, Wu Anshuan hired an agent to put it on rent. The previous tenant ended his tenancy since he had to leave Qinghe City due to work arrangements. Su Jingxing's visit was less than half a month from when the previous tenant left. Eager to close the deal, the agent wagged his tongue non-stop. "Mr. Su, this is the place you are looking for. There are a few other places, but they don't entirely match your requirements. Feel free to look around this place more." Su Jingxing kept silent. The whole idea of renting a house was to avoid contact with acquaintances, so that they don't find out what he was up to. Even though Wu Anshuan had only met him once, a 7th-grade martial artist like him might be able to tell that something was amiss. Still, the small courtyard did meet all of his expectations. It was at the foot of the mountain, the furthest corner of the western district, and had walls all around it. The walls were only about 2 meters tall, but that sufficed for Su Jingxing. It was remote, quiet, and secluded, exactly what Su Jingxing needed. After weighing the pros and cons, Su Jingxing gave a nod. "This place will do. Excellent choice, Mr. Su. Please hold on while I get the keys and the contract," said the agent happily. He was practically bouncing as he went out of the small courtyard. Su Jingxing agreeing to rent the place had saved him a lot of trouble. On the other hand, Su Jingxing had his own considerations. If the landlord was Wu Anshuan, there was always the risk that he might notice something was off. However, this risk did not come with serious implications. Plus, by the time Su Jingxing gets stronger than Wu Anshuan, the risk would be negligible. Besides, Su Jingxing had no intention of staying here for long. He was collecting essence energy pills on a daily basis. He would buy his own house as soon as he accumulated enough money from the sale of these pills. Wu Anshuan's old house was nothing but a temporary shelter. After concluding the contract with the agent, Su Jingxing received the key to the place. That night, Su Jingxing moved from the crematorium dormitory to the small courtyard. The furniture in the house had seen little use and was in good condition. The place was inhabitable after some brief cleanup and replacing of old beddings and daily necessities. For the sake of getting to work, Su Jingxing bought a bicycle. This reduced the travel time to the crematorium to less than 5 minutes. It had been a while since his transmigration, and he was finally a proud owner of his own ride and housing. Without having to worry about inconveniencing others, Su Jingxing got down to practicing the fist technique right away on the first night. After taking an essence energy pill, he could feel energy welling up within him, and his fatigue going away. He began executing the 7 steps fist while channeling his internal force. As he punched, internal force was being exuded. He did the same moves over and over again. When the night was over, Su Jingxing had learned the ropes of exuding internal force. Seeing that it was about time, he stopped practicing. After taking a shower in the bathroom and changing into clean clothes, he traveled to the crematorium by bike. After breakfast in the canteen, he met up with Kong de Bao to get ready for a day's work. "How was last night? Must have been hard to get out of bed this morning, eh? How's your waist holding up?" Along the way, Kong de Bao kept winking and smiling suggestively at Su Jingxing. "Huh?" Puzzled, Su Jingxing asked, "What are you talking about? Why would moving to a new place affect my waist in any way?" "Yeah, keep up the act," said Kong de Bao disdainfully. "What act?" asked Su Jingxing, unsure of what to make out of that. "Tisk," said Kong de Bao in contempt. "Yeah, keep acting innocent. You think I don't know you moved out to shack up with your sweetheart, Wanrong?" Su Jingxing was speechless. He almost lost it. Him, shacking up with Wanrong. I. Huff. Su Jingxing took a deep steadying breath. Resisting the urge to complain, he said irritably, "What Wanrong? I already said it was nothing like that. Big brother Debeo, can you not be so gossipy? I get it, said Kong Debeo, raising his eyebrows suggestively. Don't worry, I won't tell a soul. I'm just here to give you some advice. You are a young man, so I understand that you have urges that need to be satisfied. Su Jingxing was speechless. He could not be bothered with him and simply ignored him. There's no need to be shy, continued Kong Debeo. I was once your age too, so I know how addictive doing the deed can get at the start. With time, the magic will wear off by itself. But remember, kid, always use protection. After all, you're only in your teens. You don't want to be a father at this age, do you? Besides, with kids. Hey, slow down. Kong Debeo was lagging behind and trying to catch up, but Su Jingxing pretended not to hear him. There was nothing he could say to this fellow. Come to think of it, everyone on the corpse collection team treated him quite well, just that they loved poking fun at him. Su Jingxing understood that it was because he was young. Whenever Kong Debeo, Feng Taijian, Gu Bo, and the others made fun of him, Su Jingxing would change the topic or fade out of the conversation. Of course, sometimes he did strike back. Fortunately, Kong Debeo, Feng Taijian, Gu Bo, and the others never went overboard. After the teasing, they still behaved like brotherly figures to him. Moving corpses, cultivating, moving corpses, cultivating. In the days that followed, Su Jingxing resumed his usual life, extracting cards as he moved corpses at work. Most of the cards he extracted were essence energy cards, strength enhancement cards, and occasionally internal force cards. Skill cards never showed up during this time. Neither were there any requiem cards or martial arts practice cards. Soon, he had accumulated 200 essence energy pills again. As for the strength pills, he gobbled them down like jelly beans, so his strength increased steadily day by day. Half a month later. Bam! Swish! 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 With a dull thud, the numbers on the dial of the strength measuring device began refreshing rapidly. It stopped at the number 5223. Su Jingxing took a glance, switched to his other hand, and punched again. Bam! Swish! 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 The numbers on the dial flickered rapidly, stopping at the number 5108. Nice! 5223 caddies on the left, and 5108 on the right. Both of my hands have exceeded 5,000 caddies. Onwards to 10,000 caddies. Liking what he saw, Su Jingxing retracted his fist in satisfaction. With 10,000 caddies of strength on each hand and the 7 steps fist, he would no longer be afraid of 7th grade martial artists. From there, the goal of defeating 6th grade martial artists wouldn't be too out of reach either. Su Jingxing had made up his mind, once both of his hands exceeded 100,000 caddies of strength, he would seek revenge on Wan Rong. With 100,000 caddies of strength and the 7 steps fist, even if he could only take 5 steps, he could still release 500,000 caddies of accumulated strength at once. He supposed that should be more than enough to take care of Wan Rong. Su Jingxing narrowed his eyes. Half a month had passed, and he was only a step away from being able to exude internal force. Once he crosses this hurdle, he would be a bona fide 8th grade martial artist. In the Wei household. Sis, tell me the truth. Is eldest senior brother really back? A slim young man with delicate features stared at Wei Jiejia with wide eyes. Like I said, he is. There's no reason for me to lie to you, said Wei Jiejia matter-of-factly, avoiding her brother's gaze. Heh, sneered Wei Jieping. Even at this point, you are still gonna lie to me? Why would I lie to you, said Wei Jiejia irritably. I've already told you 1,000,000 times, eldest senior brother is back. He really is. What can I do if you don't believe me? What can you do? Why didn't you ask him to represent us? Wouldn't that solve everything? Wei Jieping clenched his fists. I would buy your words if I see eldest senior brother standing up for us. Eldest senior brother has other matters to attend to, said Wei Jiejia hastily. He'll show up when he's ready. Don't be so impatient. Me being impatient? Is that the problem at hand? Snapped Wei Jieping. He stood up abruptly and thundered at Wei Jiejia, if you have the guts, why not tell the Dagger Gang to not be impatient? I'm sure that will work out well for us. Enough of your **t. I don't have time for this. Wei Jieping broke in, shouting. Eldest senior brother has other matters to attend to. How long do you think this lie is going to hold? Do you have any idea how bad things are? In the past 2 weeks, eldest senior brother hasn't shown his face once. The Dagger Gang is already suspecting, no, they have already been testing us. If the Dagger Gang acts, how many times can you endure their tests without eldest senior brother's aid? Answer me, will you? I said enough of the **t. Give it to me straight. Is eldest senior brother back or not? Roared Wei Jieping. Wei Jiejia opened her mouth, wanting to further the lie, but decided to come clean when she saw her brother's red-rimmed eyes. He's not. Plop. Wei Jieping flopped down on the ground like a deflated balloon. He let out a miserable laugh. I knew it. I knew you were lying all along. Eldest senior brother. Eldest senior brother my ass. Ha. Stop that, Jieping, comforted Wei Jiejia, squatting down and wrapping her arms around her younger brother's head. I'm sorry. Lying wasn't my intention, but what choices did I have? You saw it yourself, the lie was the only thing that kept the Dagger Gang at bay for half a month. I know, said Wei Jieping, drawing a deep breath as he tried his best to calm himself down. He shuddered. I know why you lied. Look, I didn't want to lash out at you like that either, but this kind of lie isn't gonna last. In less than half a month, the Dagger Gang is already onto something. Now, they have begun to test the waters with small-scale attacks. We might be able to fend them off once or twice, but will crumble if the frequency goes any higher. When that time comes, the lie would expose itself. I already saw it coming, said Wei Jiejia as she took a deep breath. You did? Asked Wei Jieping, stunned. Does that mean you have a solution in mind? Of course. No kidding. What is it? Asked Wei Jieping, overjoyed. Let me in on it. I'm gonna search out my savior, declared Wei Jiejia, her eyes shining brightly. What? Asked Wei Jieping, stunned. Quickly snapping out of his daze, he exclaimed in surprise, Sis, you mean the person who impersonated our eldest senior brother? He wasn't an impersonator. I was the one who made him out to be one, admitted Wei Jiejia with an embarrassed smile. I know it wasn't nice of me, but I had no other options. It did buy us half a month before the Dagger Gang caught on, no? Delaying the problem doesn't solve anything, said Wei Jieping, frowning. The time it bought us was essential, said Wei Jiejia grimly. I deliberately got the word out that eldest senior brother has not only returned, but also took out one of the 10 great heavenly kings of the Dagger Gang the moment he came back. It was actual hand-to-hand combat, and he did it with a single punch, no less. 10 great heavenly kings my ass. Nothing but a bunch of clowns who aren't even at the 8th grade singing their own praises, said Wei Jieping, curling his lips dismissively. But none of these matters. Tell me how you intend to find your savior. Wasn't he wearing a cloak and a mask? How should we find him if we don't even know his name or what he looks like? You don't know, not we, said Wei Jiejia with sparkly eyes. You aren't joking, are you? Asked Wei Jieping, elated. Of course not, continued Wei Jiejia confidently. For the past few weeks, I've been thinking about what happened on that night. That night, I ran past quite a number of people while I was running for my life. However, he couldn't have been any of the people I met at the start. Otherwise, he would have acted sooner. There's no reason for him to follow me all the way. That leaves the people I encountered during the latter half of my run. One of them must have tailed me into the alley after seeing that I was in a pinch. Or rather, he just so happened to be near the alley right before the incident took place. No way, cried Wei Jieping, gaping. I thought about it long and hard, but none of the people I met later fitted the description. However, Wei Jiejia took a deep breath and continued. However, there was a bus stop near that alley. A bus stop? What does that have to do with anything? Asked Wei Jieping, puzzled. It has everything to do with it. For the past few nights, I went back to the place where the incident happened and took the buses along that road, said Wei Jiejia solemnly. Bus 303 is the only bus that passes that particular bus stop. After some research, I found out that bus 303 covers the Western District. Once that person boards the bus, I'm 90% sure I could recognize him. Way to go, cheered Wei Jieping, waving his fist. Once we find him, we can, but wait. Suddenly remembering something, Wei Jieping's expression changed. Hesitation replaced the joy on his face. Even if we did find him, it wouldn't solve anything, would it? It's true that he learned the 7 steps fist from our dojo, but he did not stand up for us directly. Maybe he doesn't want anything to do with us. He could have saved you simply because he couldn't stand the sight of a girl getting bullied. I know that, said Wei Jiejia, her face calm and collected. I know that he was only passing by, and it was by chance that he saw or heard me in trouble and acted. When I called out to him, he took off immediately. The message was clear. Then why do you still? Let me finish, said Wei Jiejia, raising a forestalling hand. Once I find him, I'm certain I can convince him to help us. How? Asked Wei Jieping doubtfully. Simple. I'm going to strike a deal with him. Wei Jiejia's face turned grim. This is a secret that outsiders don't know, but both of us are well aware that 7 steps fist isn't our family's only exclusive martial art. His eyes widened. Don't tell me you plan to. You are right. I plan to use the 8 steps rising dragon as our bargaining chip. You're out of your mind. Wei Jieping hopped in rage and exasperation. Who's to say he will honor his end of the deal if we hand over the 8 steps rising dragon? What if he changes his mind and refuses to help? Then consider it a token of appreciation for saving my life, Wei Jiejia said calmly. You. Wei Jieping was stunned. He clearly wasn't expecting that answer. We are out of options, Jieping, said Wei Jiejia, turning her eyes to her brother. She sighed. The leader of the dagger gang, Chen Xiaodao, won't let us off easily. Without external help, we will eventually fall into his hands. Even if he doesn't know about the existence of 8 steps rising dragon, he will definitely torture us and interrogate us about our family secrets. By then, how long do you think you can hold out? Wei Jieping was silent. He considered the question. Even though he didn't have an exact answer, he knew he, having led an easy and carefree life growing up, couldn't hold out for long. A few whips would probably suffice to extract any secrets out of him. Wei Jieping shuddered at the thought. Wei Jiejia sighed internally before continuing. This is the biggest crisis our Wei family has ever encountered. If we fail to overcome it, everything will go to pot. No matter what choice we make here, we won't be able to safekeep the 8 steps rising dragon. 8 steps rising dragon is a rare martial art that's hard to come across. Instead of letting Chen Xiaodao rob us of it, I rather my savior have it. In truth, there was more to it than Wei Jiejia was letting on. She had a backup plan in mind. If Su Jingxing went back on his word and refused to help them after receiving the 8 steps rising dragon, she would immediately pass this information to Chen Xiaodao. Chen Xiaodao, a 7th grade martial artist, was the president of the dagger gang. Given how valuable the 8 steps rising dragon was, Chen Xiaodao would definitely target Su Jingxing if he were to find out about it. Essentially, Wei Jiejia was using the 8 Steps Rising Dragon as bait, knowing that Chen Xiaodao and Su Jingxing would fight fiercely over it. In the end, no matter who won, Wei Jiejia would benefit. Wei Jieping wasn't as much of a schemer, and would never have thought that far ahead. He was only 16, and had never encountered such major events before. At this moment, a wave of dizziness swept over him. At the crematorium. In the washroom, Su Jingxing was staring absently at a newly obtained card in his hand. A skill card. He had extracted another skill card from one of the corpses. He examined the card, and was briefly stunned by the information he received. Hacking expertise. It wasn't a martial arts manual. Instead, the skill card contained a professional skill, hacking skills. By absorbing it directly, he could immediately reach a high level of proficiency in hacking. Snapping out of his daze, Su Jingxing had mixed feelings, but was nonetheless excited. It made sense when he thought about it. Skill cards should encompass all kinds of skills, and not just secret martial arts manuals. From the very beginning, his own assumption was what had led him astray. For ordinary people, computer skills were indeed a skill. So was cooking, medical practice, painting, sculpting, calligraphy, music, and so on. In theory, Su Jingxing could pick up any of these skills. The reason why he never received such cards in the past must have been because the owners of the corpses were all too ordinary, had limited skill sets, or didn't obtain enough proficiency in the skills they possessed. His cheat ability did not consider them worthy. The hacking skills he just extracted were a little different from the normal skills. Su Jingxing could absorb it directly and immediately master the craft. After all, hacking skills were different from secret martial arts manuals, it was purely mental and didn't have much to do with the body. Su Jingxing didn't need years to master it. By the same logic, if Su Jingxing extracted any skill cards from science researchers, he would also be able to unlock and master their corresponding skills immediately. Hacking expertise was just one of many. Even though it wasn't a secret martial arts manual, it was nonetheless a useful technique. Based on what Su Jingxing knew, Unation didn't have the most advanced network security. With the hacking expertise skill, he could hack into most banking systems, government systems, scientific research systems, and so on. If he was so inclined, he could even sneak out a handsome sum of money from the bank. However, spending the dirty money could prove difficult, so he rather not bother with it. What Su Jingxing wanted was clean money. Like lottery winnings, for example. All he had to do was hack into the lottery center's computer system and manipulate the winning number. That wouldn't cause any problems, would it? Ha! Su Jingxing almost burst out laughing at the thought of this. I won't be able to make it in time for this month's draw. In that case, I'll call dibs on the second prize for next month. Winning the first prize was too eye-catching, he was satisfied with taking home the second prize. Luckily, the small courtyard Su Jingxing had rented only had a short-term lease of 3 months. In the following month, he would be able to buy his own house with the prize money. Talk about getting lucky. Suppressing his excitement, Su Jingxing placed the card between his eyebrows and unlocked it. Immediately, he knew all he needed to know about hacking. Right as he finished absorbing. Hey, little Su, you done in there? Kong de Bao's voice came from outside. Yeah, answered Su Jingxing. He hesitated for a moment, then flushed the toilet, opened the cubicle's wooden door, and exited the washroom. What's the matter, big brother de Bao? He asked Kong de Bao when he was outside. Hurry, we gotta make a trip to the city to collect some corpses, explained Kong de Bao as he made for the exit of the building. Customer service just got a call. Word is, the Black Tiger Gang and the Flying Cloud sect had a huge clash in the city, just a few minutes ago. The casualty count has exceeded 3 digits. Team leader wants to dispatch us there immediately to help bring back the corpses. Hundreds of casualties. That many? Asked Su Jingxing, raising his brows. Heh, not like it's the first time these two syndicates are going at each other. This time just happened to be grander in scale, said Kong de Bao, curling his lips. 100+ deaths is nothing to them. Soon enough, they would have recruited enough new members to make up for the loss. These syndicates never lack manpower. Well then. Not knowing what else to say, Su Jingxing clammed up. Black Tiger Gang and Flying Cloud Sect were the largest syndicates in the western district of Qinghe City. Smaller syndicates like the Dagger Gang and whatnot all worked under them. The upper echelons of these two syndicates were comprised of 6th grade, and even 5th grade, martial artists. Even the lower echelons had members who packed a punch. At the lowest level, there were 9th grade martial artists and ordinary people who were about to hit the 9th grade. Therefore, Su Jingxing was more than happy about the deadly brawl between the Black Tiger Gang and the Flying Cloud Sect. Cards extracted from the corpses of martial artists tended to give more rewards when unlocked. He expected an abundance of internal force cards and skill cards. He turned out to be right. The development of events wasn't far from Su Jingxing's expectations. The entire corpse collection Team 1 was hastily dispatched to the location where the deadly syndicate brawl had taken place. Without betraying any emotion, Su Jingxing walked past all of the corpses at the scene. He collected a total of 27 cards from 27 corpses. There had been 27 confirmed deaths and a little above 110 casualties in this syndicate clash. The death count did not take into account the severely wounded that were being rushed to the hospital. As for now, the corpse collector team's main task was to retrieve the 27 dead bodies on scene and bring them back to the crematorium. The ones at the hospital would have to wait. The documentation of particulars was handled by someone else. Su Jingxing found the time to hide in a corner and inspect the cards he extracted. Strength Enhancement Card, Internal Force Card, Internal Force Card, Skill Card, Skill Card. Oh. Equipment Card? Is this yet another new card? Su Jingxing was pleasantly surprised. At long last, a new type of card had appeared. He had seen Essence Energy cards, Strength Enhancement cards, Internal Force cards, Requiem cards, Martial Arts Practice cards, and Skill cards. And now, there were equipment cards. Different types of cards gave different rewards when unlocked. Unlocking Equipment Card. Su Jingxing was stunned when he received the information related to the card. What kind of reward is this? Corpse Dissolving Liquid. The reward in the equipment card turned out to be 2 bottles of corpse dissolving liquid. Could it be that the members of the Black Tiger Gang and the Flying Cloud Sect were carrying these with them during the clash? Otherwise, how could he have extracted them from their corpses? His cheat ability could only extract things that were once possessed by the owner of a corpse. The name, Corpse Dissolving Liquid, was self-explanatory of its function. What surprised Su Jingxing was that the gang members had carried corpse dissolving liquid around even during the clash. Were they prepared to get rid of their opponents' corpses from the get-go? The thought sent a chill down Su Jingxing's spine. Plus, if extracting equipment cards was a possibility, how come I never came across any in the past? It had been some time since he started moving corpses, and he found it odd that this was his first time obtaining an equipment card. It wasn't just the martial artists, even ordinary people should carry something on them just before they die. Yet he had failed to extract any equipment cards from them. Something wasn't adding up. Could it be that corpses were sent to the crematorium too long after their death? Su Jingxing pondered. This time, the corpse collection operation had taken place quickly. Within a few minutes of the clash between the two syndicates, the crematorium received a call, and Su Jingxing and his colleagues rushed over at once. Come to think of it, Su Jingxing was the first person to arrive at the scene. At that time, the bodies of the dead syndicate members had not yet been deprived of their belongings. As a result, his cheat ability ended up extracting their physical possessions. And, for him to extract these items, it must mean that they were as important as the likes of strength pills and internal force pills. That was the only way to explain how he randomly extracted an equipment card. With that in mind, Su Jingxing quickly browsed through the other cards. Sure enough, he found 4 more equipment cards. They contained several items: 3 throwing daggers, a bottle of bone-strengthening pills, a human skin mask, and a fake tooth. But in what world is a fake tooth considered important? Astonished, Su Jingxing began examining the tooth closely. Then the answer dawned on him. Seems like it's filled with venom. Hidden in the fake tooth were 2 drops of venom, each drop potent enough to off an elephant. The other items, throwing daggers, the bone-strengthening pills, and the human skin mask, also had their own uses. The throwing daggers, far from ordinary, were prized weapons that cut through iron like mud. Bone-strengthening pill, as the name suggested, could strengthen one's bones. Ultimately, they could harden one's bones to the point where they are as tough as steel. The human skin mask was not crafted from human skin, despite its name, but from a special material instead. Once worn, it allowed its wearer to take on the appearance of someone else. The items contained in these 5 equipment cards were great in and of themselves. In high spirits, Su Jingxing put away the equipment cards. This field mission had proved extraordinarily fruitful. His haul consisted of 5 equipment cards, 2 skill cards, 3 strength enhancement cards, 4 essence energy cards, and a bunch of internal force cards. The internal force cards contained internal force cultivation ranging from 2 months to 3 years. The 2 skill cards were Black Tiger Fist and Falling Cloud Palm respectively. Su Jingxing held the cards in his hand and obtained their relevant information. As it turned out, both martial arts were inferior to the 7 Steps Fist. Most likely, these were low-level martial arts that were given to low-rank members of the 2 syndicates. Su Jingxing wasn't interested in learning this sort of martial art, since it was nothing but a waste of his time. What about selling it on the black market? He entertained the idea but decided against it. Although these 2 martial art manuals could each fetch 100,000 great US in the black market, they were hard to get rid of since they were exclusive to the 2 syndicates. No one would bat an eye if anyone from the Black Tiger Gang or Flying Cloud sect cultivated these basic martial arts, but outsiders would get into trouble if they were found cultivating them. Therefore, even if he took them to the black market, they wouldn't attract many buyers. Worse still, he might end up catching unnecessary attention from the Black Tiger Gang and the Flying Cloud sect. It's worth mentioning that in the black market, the base price of any martial art manual was 100,000 great US. That was why Su Jingxing did not buy any martial arts manuals on his previous trip. He couldn't afford it. The 90,000 great US he got from selling essence energy pills wasn't even enough to afford the most commonplace martial art manual. For ordinary people, the most economical way was to learn martial arts from a dojo. That had been Su Jingxing's plan before he got hold of so many martial arts manuals. This haul had been equivalent to Su Jingxing's half a month of moving corpses. To celebrate, after the shift change, Su Jingxing went out of his way to buy some good food before returning to his rental courtyard. On the way back, Su Jingxing took a detour, then subconsciously followed a narrow path near the foot of the mountain. To his surprise, he heard the sound of a fight coming from ahead when he was about to reach his residence. Screech! The wheels of the bicycle dragged against the ground before coming to a forceful stop. Su Jingxing got out of the bicycle and parked it by the side of the road. Stealthily, he took a few steps forward and hid in a corner, where he could see the source of the racket. A dozen of leagues away from where the foot of the mountain met with the road, there were 2 groups of people. That wasn't it. More accurately, it was a group of people ganging up on one person. Under the light from the street lamp, Su Jingxing saw that the person who was being ganged up on was heavily built and over 3 meters tall. All alone, he fended off his group of assailants. At times he pushed them back, and at times he closed the gap. Under the night sky, the 2 sides fought fiercely. Oddly enough, despite the ferocity of these fighters, not a single one of them uttered a word. The whistling of the night wind echoed through the empty path, the only sound present apart from weapons whooshing through the air and the sound of flesh on flesh. Su Jingxing hid in a corner and looked on for a while. He noticed that for some reason, the burly man that was getting ganged up on was gradually losing ground. Rip! 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 The attackers' weapons, long sabers and long swords, bit into the burly man's flesh from time to time, tossing drips of blood and strands of flesh into the air. Among them was a dandy young man in a fancy suit who had his hair all spruced up. With his bare hands, he forced the burly man into a steady retreat. Bang! 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 The dull sound of impact filled the air. The burly man remained silent throughout the fight, not uttering so much as a groan when the blade of a sword pierced through his palm. As though he was incapable of feeling pain, all he did was cycle between counterattacks and attempts at escaping. However, with more than 10 people on his tail, he would get caught as soon as he took a few steps. In the end, the number of wounds on his body kept stacking up. And at last... thud! With a loud thud, the burly man fell to the ground motionless. The one who dealt the final blow was the well-dressed young man who wore a cold expression. His last palm that struck the burly man in the chest had stopped the latter's heart. Having eliminated the target, he converged his energy and exhaled. Then, turning around slowly, he looked towards where Su Jingxing was hiding and said calmly, "Greetings, friend. You have been watching us for a while now. Don't you plan to introduce yourself?" He got busted. Su Jingxing was caught off guard. How did the young man spot him in his hiding spot from a dozen of meters away? Su Jingxing had spectated purely out of curiosity. He didn't think the young man would be able to detect his presence while in combat. Is his martial art actually stronger than I expected? To be clear, Su Jingxing wasn't afraid. From the fact that the young man and the others had spent a great deal of time to finish off the burly man, it was evident that their cultivation realms weren't high. The young man who was calling the shots was probably an 8th grade martial artist, or 7th grade at best. Against a 7th grade martial artist, even if Su Jingxing couldn't win, he should be able to retreat with relative ease. Had it been a 6th grade, or 5th grade expert, he would have made a run for it as soon as he saw them. Unafraid and confident in his own abilities, Su Jingxing had decided to hide in the corner to watch the whole thing. Now that he was discovered, he was completely bewildered. Revealing himself and having a chat with the young man wasn't that big of a deal. But was it really necessary? Just as Su Jingxing was hesitating, something shockingly unexpected happened. Boom! The dead burly man sprang to his feet, aimed at the 2 men who were standing the closest to him, and slammed his plantain fan-sized hands at them. Bam! Bam! Blood splattered out through cracked skulls. The heads of the 2 men had burst apart. Watch out! What the heck? Kill him! The others were taken by surprise. Faced with this sudden turn of events, they all sprang into action and began a joint attack on the burly man. "How is this possible?" murmured the young man, as he turned around and stared at the burly man with bewildered eyes. He no longer had time to deal with Su Jingxing. "Everyone, get him! Don't show any mercy and aim for the head," commanded the young man as he took the lead and charged at the burly man. Seeing this, the others gritted their teeth and followed suit, launching an all-around attack on the burly man. Su Jingxing gazed from afar, shocked and confused at the same time. He wasn't dead. That big fella is still alive. The young man's final palm should have been powerful enough to shatter his heart. But instead of dying, the burly man seemed to have become even stronger. The burly man who had been at an obvious disadvantage, and should have been killed, was now demonstrating terrifying power. His defense had become more solid, and blades and daggers couldn't even leave a mark on him. His plantain fan-sized hands seemed to be drawing power from an endless fountain. His hands cracked through the air like a whip. Even his movements were faster than before. At this point, only a few of the young man's fighters could keep up with the burly man's pace. The rest of them were as good as dummies. Not only could they not contribute to the fight, the burly man was making quick work out of them, shattering their rib cages and smashing in their skulls. Bam! 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 The dull, explosion-like sounds persisted. Soon, the action began to slow down. The young man was still duking it out with the burly man. He was the last survivor in his group. The burly man persistently attacked with crazed ferocity, while the young man kept evading and moving backward. As for the direction of retreat, he was moving toward Su Jingxing's hiding place. Trying to lure the menace to me? Su Jingxing sneered internally when he realized the young man's intentions. Once the distance between the three of them decreased, Su Jingxing could see the two men's faces clearly. There was nothing noteworthy about the young man, but the burly man, his mouth had been sewn shut. No wonder he never made a sound. A gleam flashed across Su Jingxing's eyes. He stood up and prepared to leave. Just then. Boom! A loud explosion resounded through the air. The burly man, who was still hot on the young man's heels and throwing out attacks, seemed to have been enraged. With a sudden acceleration, he charged and crashed into the young man. Instantly, the young man was propelled into the air as though hit by a zooming car. Before he even landed on the ground, the burly man had caught up and grabbed him by the feet at lightning speed. As soon as his hands latched on, he swung the young man into the ground with all his might. Bam! The ground gave a little shake, and cracks began branching out from the spot where the young man had been nailed into the ground. Not a single bone in him managed to stay intact. The only part of him that was above ground level was his legs, from calves to toes, still tightly within the burly man's grasp. What speed! His movements were too quick. And it wasn't just that, he was a complete savage too. The young man didn't even have time to let loose a scream before dying immediately to the impact. He wasn't even granted a full corpse. The burly man's cruel methods, emotionless face, and bloodthirsty eyes were reminiscent of a killing machine. A machine? The thought suddenly came across Su Jingxing after witnessing the entire process. Just as he was about to retreat, the burly man, who was more than 10 meters away, made his move. Swish! Swish! He produced a whooshing sound as he zoomed forward. Suddenly, the burly man threw the young man's severed feet, still connected up to his calves, at Su Jingxing. At the same time, he continued charging at Su Jingxing, his massive body roaring like a train. How fast? That was Su Jingxing's first thought. I can't dodge it in time. This was Su Jingxing's second thought. Once the two thoughts flashed across his mind, Su Jingxing acted at once. Instead of retreating, he faced his enemy. If flight wasn't an option, then his only choice was to fight. At that moment, Su Jingxing's mind was clearer than ever. He executed the 7 steps fist without any reservation, delivering the full might of 5,000 caddies of strength through his punch. Bam! Bam! His fists met the young man's severed calves, causing them to burst into bits. Slithering, Su Jingxing advanced. 1 step, 2, 3. At his 5th step, he was right about to collide with the burly man. In the blink of an eye, with 5,000 caddies of strength in each hand and a 7 steps fist, he instantly dished out 25,000 caddies of strength, meeting the burly man's attack head-on. Bang, bang, bang. As soon his right fist, enveloped in internal force, collided with the burly man's fist, the latter was reduced into a plethora of scrapped flesh and minced meat. Squish! His left fist, wrapped in internal force, came out of the muscular man's chest from the other side. However, the burly man was not yet done. His attacks persisted. With his other hand, he slammed down at Su Jingxing's head viciously from a close distance. Huff! With his brain in full gear, Su Jingxing managed to act before the burly man. Using the hand that had pierced through the burly man's chest as support, he charged forward, dragging his opponent along with him. As he charged forward, the burly man's palm strike missed midway. His huge body was dragged by Su Jingxing uncontrollably, and when Su Jingxing retracted his hand, he flew more than 10 meters before crashing to the ground and rolling several times. Whoosh! With his hand freed up, Su Jingxing dashed forward at full speed, throwing a punch at the bigger man's head before he could regain his footing. Bam! A muffled sound reverberated through the night. The burly man's head was reduced to a pile of white and red matter, splattering all over the ground. Barbarian corpse discovered. Would you like to extract it? Barbarian? The barbarian race? Before Su Jingxing could even heave a sigh of relief, the notification struck him dumb. The burly man turned out to be a barbarian? That's the kind of opponent the young men in his group of fighters were up against. How barbarians had appeared in Qinghe City, how come he hadn't heard anything about it? Unless someone brought him here on purpose. Su Jingxing's mind went to the burly man's sewn lips and how he was attacked by the young man and his party. From these two facts, it would be logical to assume that the burly man had been subjected to abuse. His appearance here told of a successful escape, however. Whoever had captured him clearly didn't intend to let him off and sent out a group of assailants to go after his life. It looked like he was at a disadvantage at the beginning of the fight, but in hindsight, it was apparent that he was only playing dead earlier. His sham death served more than to bid time for a surprise attack, it also had something to do with an innate power held by barbarians. Just like how human martial artists had internal force, the barbarians also cultivated their own power. To unleash this power, they needed to first play possum and charge up. Had Su Jingxing not happened to pass by, the burly man's plan could have worked out. After charging up, he would have wiped out the young man and his party, then escaped Qinghe City. Unfortunately, whoever captured these barbarians and sewed their mouths shut. Just what are they plotting? Su Jingxing was troubled. He just wanted to take a shortcut home, but unexpectedly, he got tangled up in some large organization's conspiracy. Ordinary people would neither have the guts nor the ability to capture barbarians and smuggle them into Qinghe City. And if they were bringing in barbarians, they must be up to something. Just what on earth star are they trying to do? Oh well, whatever. Shaking his head, Su Jingxing contained his racing thoughts and focused his attention on something else. If he was dealing with organized trafficking and not a barbarian invasion, Su Jingxing didn't want to get involved further. In any case, no one could know that this matter was related to him. There were no security cameras installed along this path. In fact, in all the major cities of Unation, only the main roads had security cameras. It wasn't that the government didn't have enough funds to install them. The reason for the dearth of security cameras was because martial artists valued their privacies, and would destroy them on sight. In time, the government no longer bothered. Therefore, no one could possibly link the murder of the burly man to Su Jingxing. There was little Su Jingxing could do to cover up the scene given the scale of destruction, so he decided to simply leave that job to someone else. A barbarian corpse found within the city, huh? Looks like things are about to get lively in Qinghe City. No matter what the intentions the secret organization harbored, they would have a lot of cleaning up to do thanks to this unforeseen event. Having processed these thoughts, Su Jingxing replied, yes, to the notification in his mind and extracted a card from the barbarian corpse. He subconsciously took it out of his pockets to take a look. A martial arts practice card. Su Jingxing was taken aback at first, then a wave of ecstasy swept over him. It's a martial arts practice card. With 14 years of practice time, no less. Sweet. As to how he was able to extract a martial arts practice card from a barbarian corpse, Su Jingxing decided to put that line of thought aside for now. He briskly walked towards the young man's corpse. Corpse discovered. Would you like to extract it? Yes. A card materialized in his pocket. As Su Jingxing strolled past the other corpses, he took out the cards in his pocket and inspected them. A skill card. It's definitely my lucky day. What's the deal with this advanced hearing though? Su Jingxing frowned. The skill card extracted from the young man's corpse was not a secret martial arts manual, nor was it a professional skill, like hacking, singing, or dancing. Instead, it was an odd ability. Advanced hearing. He held the card up to receive its corresponding information. So that's how it works. Having figured things out, Su Jingxing's face lit up with joy. Advanced hearing was actually a secret ability. Unlike martial arts, secret techniques were more straightforward and convenient. It was like a superpower, so to speak. Once mastered, the ability would always stay with him. Advanced hearing, for example, repetitively stimulated one's ear apertures with internal force to strengthen their hearing, hence allowing them to receive various sound waves. Within a certain radius, any sound waves could be detected. Then, by analyzing these sound waves, one could deduce where they came from. Be it the rustling of grass, the whistling of the wind, the chirping of birds and insects, or the breathing and heartbeats of human beings. Earlier, the young man had discovered Su Jingxing because of this secret ability. What a pleasant surprise. Taking the shortcut had led him to run into some danger, but the ending was full of pleasant surprises. Corpse discovered. Would you like to extract it? Yes. Corpse discovered. Would you like to extract it? Yes. From the remaining corpses, he managed to extract more than 10 cards. Then, Su Jingxing quickly fled the scene on his bike. When he was back at his residence, he took out a dozen or so cards and examined them one by one. Internal Force card, Internal Force card, Strength Enhancement card, Strength Enhancement card, Essence Energy card. When he was done, he did not find any new cards. It was only the same old Internal Force cards, Strength Enhancement cards, and Essence Energy cards. This didn't dampen Su Jingxing's spirits though. He unlocked the Internal Force cards immediately and absorbed them. The Essence Energy cards produced a few Essence Energy pills, which he added to his stockpile. As for the strength pills he received, he consumed them promptly. When all was said and done, Su Jingxing took out the martial arts practice card and pondered on why he was able to extract it from a barbarian corpse. The first martial arts card had come from a corpse puppet, and the second from a barbarian corpse puppet. What was the connection between the two? After pondering for a while, Su Jingxing couldn't arrive at an answer and decided to move on. In any case, corpse puppets and barbarians were both beyond Su Jingxing's reach. The odds of him encountering their corpses again were extremely low. Su Jingxing was never one to aim for the sky, he was a firm believer in seizing the day. With that in mind, Su Jingxing unlocked the martial arts practice card. The card transformed into a ray of brilliance that enveloped Su Jingxing entirely. His consciousness entered the white space once again. As though something was driving him, he began to practice the 7 steps fist on his own. He did the same moves over and over again. There was no fatigue, no hunger, no thirst, and no soreness. As though he had forgotten about all other matters, he just kept practicing. He did the same moves over and over again. Time flew by. After an unknown amount of time, Su Jingxing regained consciousness. However, unlike the last time, the white space did not collapse like last time. What's going on? Why am I still here? Su Jingxing was confused. He perceived his surroundings, sure enough, he was still within the space. However, he was no longer practicing the 7 steps fist. Wait, I think I know. Suddenly, Su Jingxing thought of something and tried to execute the 7 steps fist. And lo and behold, he realized that he had reached the highest level of mastery in 7 steps fist. In other words, it was the realm where he could take all 7 steps in one go, godlike mastery. There must have been time to spare after I reached the highest level in 7 steps fists. Is that why this space still exists? Su Jingxing remembered that the martial arts practice card contained a period of 14 years, for more than the previous one. Once he reached the highest level in 7 steps fist, time stopped within the space. Su Jingxing could direct his consciousness back to his physical body at any time he wanted, but that would mean wasting the remaining time in this space. Martial arts practice cards weren't easy to come by, and it would be a shame to waste them. At the thought of this, Su Jingxing switched to another skill to practice, advanced hearing. As soon as he made the decision, the internal force in his body uncontrollably surged and converged at his ear apertures, stimulating them in a slow and orderly manner.